Hey, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, I'm good. Say hi to everybody.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ria.
Thank you. Thank you for volunteering.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So you've sent me ahead of time the thing we want to play with, right? This monologue.
Yes.
Okay, great. So what I'd like you to do right now is we're going to play with it in some of the ways that you've heard me talk to folks. But right now, let's just have you do it to me,
Okay.
okay? And we'll just let it rip.
Okay. Are you Mariana and Callie? I'm so sorry. Shit. Oh, sorry. I mean, I'm not sorry. I'm trying to be better about apologizing so much, but it's really hard because apologizing is a big part of my family. So I regret that I'm late. Anyway, it's so nice to meet you. We're low on toilet paper. I thought free toilet paper would be a nice perk, but I had no idea how much people use. So I'm sorry. I mean, I regret to let you know that once it runs out, you're going to have to buy your own. Let me show you to your room. Now, I know the ad said that you'd have your own bathroom, but the person here before you was growing psychedelic mushrooms in there. So, yeah, it caused a little bit of a mold problem, and we evicted him and we made it into a closet. So, I mean, I can take a little bit off your rent and you can get a chamber pot on Amazon if you don't want to pad down the hall at night. But I wouldn't poop in there because we have a bit of a mice problem and they might try to eat it, depending on your diet, of course.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now, so based on what you heard me talking about, and thank you so much for jumping in and doing that. Greatly appreciated and very nice. Um, Let me ask you this now. So based on what I was saying earlier, what do you think, what can we say is literally happening in this monologue?
So literally a landlord is basically giving new tenants information and just like introducing them to the new place.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. So you're the landlord, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're giving this information to the tenants, right?
Yeah.
Um, great. Um, Now, do you have any idea what an action might be that you could play?
Now is an action like just something that I'm doing literally like I'm like is it something that I'm trying to get them to do? Or is it
Yes,
something that I'm just doing? Like,
both, both,
okay.
both, both, both. Okay, so great. And I'll give you something we can play with because it's a great question, but it's both those things. It's something that you're actually doing, but we have, whatever we're doing has to have an end result that we're after, right? So if I'm cleaning the carpet, it's like I know that the carpet's clean once it's clean, right? But for example, if you're trying to get someone to accept a deal that sucks,
Yeah.
okay? Let's say that is what an action you might play in this scene, right? To get someone to accept a deal that sucks, right? So you're doing that to this person, and you want to be able to imagine what the person would look like if if it accepted the deal, because that's what you're trying to get,
Yeah.
right? So in this exercise we're going to do, first you're going to focus on someone in your mind, right?
Okay.
And then you're actually going to look into the screen and do it with me, okay? But let's for just having something fun to play with, and it's not about like, oh, would this actually be the best thing for this piece or whatever. We're just showing how this works and letting you jump in the waters with it. But can you imagine, so if we went with this right now, if we said get someone to accept a deal that sucks, can
Okay.
you imagine, like, and it's often helpful, very helpful for various reasons, to have the as if not be a replication of what's actually happening in the scene, because that can make us very self-conscious, right? And
Okay.
there's some other traps with it. And it's fun and it works very well to imagine something that at first it's like, well, would that be really a good fit for this scene because it's so different? But those are often the best as ifs. So for example, do you have brothers or sisters?
Yeah.
Okay.
I,
Can you imagine that you're trying to get a brother or sister to accept a deal that sucks?
yes.
And what might that deal be?
Let me think.
What about, oh, go ahead.
Maybe like investing in like a film or something that I wrote, that like putting money into something that there's no chance, there's no guarantee
No
that
ch-
it'll be like, no, there's a chance.
Yes, yes. That could be a good one. The only problem with that, another pitfall in coming up with these as ifs, is we don't want to do things that have to do with the entertainment industry.
Okay.
Because what we're trying to avoid are these different things that can make us self-conscious, because we don't want to be reminded of the fact that we're acting, right?
Okay.
And if our as if is too dead on in regard to the relationship that's happening in the scene, that can make us self-conscious. It's like, well, wait, that's not my actual wife, or that's not. But what about this? I think you're in the right track. What if like you were going on a vacation, just you and your brother, just you and your sister, and you get to the hotel and it's like shitty, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, or it's like a whatever you want to make it, like a cruise ship or a hotel, but it's like there's this shitty vacation. Or maybe you can make it that just like you're trying to pitch them to agree on this vacation.
Okay.
That for whatever reasons, because you've just gone through a breakup or whatever it is, like you really want to go on this trip with them. They're like, this does not look like fun, but you're trying to get them to accept the deal that you know sucks, but you don't want to admit that it sucks.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'll give you another option. So either that one or another idea comes to mind where you're on a date with someone who you really dig and you've really wanted to go on a date with, but you got to pair the friend up with the date's friend.
Okay.
And the friend does not want to go because the friend is like, I know that guy. And you're just like, please accept this deal. Which one of those seems like more fun?
Okay. I think oh God. I think the date one.
Good. I like the date one too, because the date one is less related to what's directly happening. Okay?
Okay, yeah.
So this is what I want you to do. I'm gonna have you close your eyes and take you through the improv.
Okay.
So what you're doing right now, okay? I want you to be there with that specific best friend or good friend, and really picture like you're at your place or her place, and you guys have been talking for a while, and there's this person that you just are so excited to go on this date for, but she has to come with on this first date, he or she, whoever the friend is, and they are like, man. And so you just right now need to get them to accept the deal that you know sucks. And watch yourself do that.
Okay.
And as weird as it may seem in your mind right now, they are not saying anything. They're just looking at you. So you have to keep going. You have to keep talking and keep trying new ways to get them to accept this deal that you know sucks. Just keep watching it. And what would they look like? How would you know that they were going to accept the deal? Like, what look would you see in their eye that they finally capitulated? Or they would finally say, like, okay, you're not seeing that right now, so you have to keep going. And if it's not working, mix it up. Not the action, but just the way you're going about it. You're willing to do anything to get them to accept the deal that you know sucks.
Okay.
And when I say open your eyes, you're just going to look at me and talk to me as if I'm that friend. Just keep going with the improv and keep talking to me as if I'm that friend, but really base what you're doing off what you see in me. But you're talking to me like I'm that friend. And at a certain point, I'm going to say monologue, and you're just going to go to the lines of the monologue, but you're letting those lines mean anything. Forget any preconceived idea about the way that it's supposed to be, about any line reading ideas or anything. literally just doing the exact same thing with those lines that you're doing with the improv, okay? And I might go back and forth. I might say back to the improv and then back to the monologue, and we might go back and forth a little bit. Open your eyes.
Okay. Look, he's really, really great. He's really cute. Like, yes, he's been divorced a few times, but he's a comedian. He works at a bank. He's gonna he's gonna pay for your dinner. He'll buy you as many drinks as you want. You don't have to give him the right number. Look, okay, it's gonna be fine. He's great. No, please. And then you would
Monologue.
I'm so sorry. Shit. No, I'm not sorry. I'm really okay. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be better about not saying sorry so much, which is really hard because it's a big part of my family. So, okay, I regret that I'm late. Let me show you to your room. Now I know the ad said that you
Improv.
I don't know what to tell you, but I just need this from you. Like, I'll give you $20. Like, he'll buy you free drinks. I'll give you $20. He'll get you the filet mignon. Like, you don't actually have to do anything, just this one night. I just need this one thing. And if you do this for me, then I will.
Back to the monologue.
I can take a little bit off your rent, and you can get a chamber pot on Amazon, but I wouldn't poop in there because we have a bit of a mice problem, and they might try to eat it, depending on your diet, of course. That's the end of it. Sorry.
No, it's good. That's really, really good. Really good. So, great job jumping in. Great job jumping in. So, could you feel that? Could you feel when you were really letting the lines mean anything? Right?
Yeah.
So to me, it's so interesting to watch, right? Because, and right from the start when you were doing that improv, and again, thank you for jumping in front of hundreds of people and just doing it, right? But it was a great example of what we're after here, because when you were doing that as if improv, right away for me, I'm like, oh yeah, this is perfect for this scene, right? And for those of us watching, if you noticed, when I had her go into the monologue, like the first time and the second time, especially the first time, like I wasn't sure if she heard me right. I wasn't sure if you were actually going into the monologue or you were still doing the improv, because the lines of the monologue, you were just letting it happen spontaneously. And then of course what naturally happens, especially because you've worked on this before, like as you kept going with the monologue, the line readings come back in, right? You can feel yourself get off the action and suddenly you're just saying it a certain way, right? And then I would say back to the improv, and we would watch you like shake off how you think it's supposed to be and get back to really doing it with me. Did you get a feel for that?
Yeah. It felt like in and out.
And it's gonna be in and out when we're first working that way. But the beautiful thing about this way of working is that it's always gonna be in and out. But as long as you keep coming back, then it's mesmerizing, because people are watching a real human being get lost in their shit and keep coming back to the task at hand, which is all we do in life anyway. You know what I mean? Like, we're never perfectly like on something. And actors are killing themselves trying to give this like in the zone, perfect performance, totally focused, which is impossible. So if we give up the ghost and go like, I can get lost in my feelings and thoughts and what I don't have power over, I just want to keep coming back to what I'm doing, right? And so we got a real glimpse just now for some pretty fairly prolonged moments there in the monologue where Ria was really letting the lines mean anything, and it was riveting to watch. And if you guys notice too, right from the beginning, even the differences we're looking at here, right? It's like the way she first did it, it was like, here's an idea of the scene that I've worked on, and it's cute and it's interesting. But something totally different happens when she's doing the improv. Even the way we see her on the screen, she begins to pop off the screen. I mean, partly because she's naturally leaning in because she's doing something to me, but everything begins to change, right? And it's great to, when I have my Zoom classes or do these kind of things, for me, watching the person, it's the suspension of disbelief, because suddenly I start to go like, oh, she's like in the closet of the shitty apartment. Do you know what I mean? And she's trying to tell people to and sell it, and your mind just begins to do it. But when the person is presenting, no, here's my pre-planned idea of it, it's just, even though we might intellectually go like, oh, I get it, I get it. Yeah, she's cute and she's trying to sell them this thing. But then when we experience someone really doing it, it's just night and day. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much for jumping in.
Thank you.
Everybody, this is Ella. Again, someone that I randomly pulled in here ahead of time. Thank you so much for playing with us.
Thank you for doing this.
You're so welcome. So, absorbing a lot of what we've been playing with here, with this scene that we have here, that I have in front of me, what would you say is literally happening in this scene?
I've been captured and am being held for questioning by Lieutenant Weber.
Great. And what is it, World War II? Is it mythical war? Is it?
World War II.
Great. So you're being held captive by Weber. And why is he holding you captive?
Because I'm a part of the resistance efforts.
Part of the resistance efforts.
But yes, well, I'm thought of to be a part of the resistance efforts.
Right. You're thought of to be part of the resistance efforts, right? And great. And in looking at this scene, it seems to me too that she's talking about something supernatural that he doesn't quite get, right?
It's not supernatural. It's actually a nuclear plant. So the water is the heavy water production that was happening. So they're trying to weaponize it to make devastating nuclear bombs up.
Great. And so he's captured you thinking that you might have information about that, or thinking you're for the other side?
Thinking that, yeah, we're working with the British soldiers who are trying to take down the plant.
Right. Great. And it seems to me, reading the scene too, Astrid is like, we can say she's asking him questions too, right?
Yeah, she is. I think she's not just a victim in this. She's asking him. Yeah, I think she's trying to undermine his power, and that's a part of like the action is her manipulation tactic is to undermine what he thinks he might know, and perhaps try to get him to switch sides.
Okay. And is she, based on the breakdown you have of the character, do we have any more information? Like we know she's trying to do that. She's been sent to try to get him to switch sides. Is that in the story?
It's not, no.
So we don't know for sure. We just know that all we can say for sure, it sounds like, is Astrid has been captured by somebody who thinks she might be part of the resistance, and she's asking him questions about what he knows and doesn't know about the situation. Is that right?
Yeah.
Great. So, again, it's very helpful to try to make the literal as open-ended as it is, so we don't put in things that may not be in there. Now, when we choose an action, of course, we're going to go with gut ideas and impulses we have about what it might be, right? So, let's just read it once right now, me and you.
Okay. Look at her face. She looks like a handful.
She has her mother's temper.
Don't we all? Just wait until she grows up. That's when your troubles really begin.
3 British commandos. Could there be a second group? Could one of the original team still be alive? We know that somebody's out there. Just tell me who it is.
In Norway, we do have many stories of creatures in the woods. But what should frighten you isn't out there.
You're saying that the threat's internal from employees such as yourself?
You haven't been here for long, have you? Do you know what this plant does? What it's for?
I don't concern myself with operational details. I need to know if there are more commandos out there.
You don't know, or you don't want to know?
Please tell me what you can, or they'll send you to Germany, where the questioning can be much more unpleasant.
The water in this facility is a lot more than vital to the war effort, Lieutenant. Your people are creating a monster of their own right here in this building. Somebody has to stop them before it's too late.
Great. Very, very nice. Thank you so much for jumping in. Thank you. Thank you. So let's now play with this a little bit, okay? I got some thoughts. Do you have any idea what an action might be to play with?
I think I can use the I didn't really use that manipulation of like undermining his power and making him feel perhaps a little bit more unsettled with his position there because he's new. That is something that I do know. He is new to the
He's new, yeah.
facility. And I've been working at the facility undercover for a while.
Great. So what if I'm going to give you something that if you're willing, I just want you to run with just so we can play with it. Okay. So what about this? What about to feel out if someone knows the full scope of the situation, or to discover if someone knows the full scope of the situation? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And this may seem totally weird and random, but that's part of what we're playing with here. And I'm kind of also purposely picking something that I think you may be like, whoa, well, that's kind of out of left field, maybe, but it's helpful to demonstrate this and to get a taste for it, right? So this idea of discovering if someone knows the full scope of the situation. Can you imagine a situation where, like, you live in an apartment complex?
Mm-hmm.
So can you imagine a situation where, like, you're pretty sure that in one of the places in your building, someone's like making meth or doing drugs, and you think the landlord or the apartment manager might know it or might not know it, and you're having a conversation with him or her, like trying to feel out and discover, do they know the full scope of the situation?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense.
Groovy.
Okay.
So this can be fun to do, is sort of like take something like that may or may not seem out of left field, but like you sort of witnessed with the exercise we just did, the thing I want you to do, and it can be hard to do, it's like a new muscle to work, but just for the sake of this exercise, we're going to do what you just saw I and the other young lady do, which I'm going to take you through this improv exercise. And when we go to this scene, I want you to just forget about any idea that you have about what it's supposed to be, where the arc of the scene is, the blocking. And all I want you to be doing is just, and forget, even if it's like looking at a picture or looking somewhere else, just look at me the whole time. And you're just going to be with these lines, and I'm still going to read opposite you. But when you're doing your lines, all your focus is on just trying to discover if I know the full scope of the situation.
Okay.
Okay? Groovy. So close your eyes and be there wherever, like outside your apartment or in the apartment manager's apartment or whoever you're imagining this person is, and make sure you can see them and see where you're at. And for a couple of weeks now, you've been like noticing some really shady things going on, and you're pretty sure that in apartment 2D or whatever it is, like they're selling meth or making meth or something's going on. And you're talking to you've been kind of bringing it up with the apartment manager, the landlord, and you've gotten the sense of like, wait, is he in on this too? What are you? And so right now I want to watch yourself, like, so you're kind of talking to him about what's been going on and I mean, whatever's coming out of your mouth, but really you're trying to discover, does he know the full score of what's going on? And he's not saying anything to you. So as awkward as it may be, you have to keep talking to him right now. And what would he look like? Like, what would he say? Or what would you see in his eye for you to know, like, okay, now I know that he doesn't know the full score, or he does, but you're not getting that yet. He's kind of a blank slate. So you got to keep just saying shit, trying to discover, does he know the full scope? And just watch yourself do this. And switch up how you're going about it if it's not working. Don't switch the action, but just the way you're going about it. You're willing to do anything to try to get this full scope. And when I say open your eyes, you're just going to look at me and keep talking to me. Keep doing that improv out loud as if I'm that apartment manager, reacting to what you see in me. And at a certain point, I'll say scene, and we'll go to the scene. We might go back and forth, but you're letting the lines mean anything. You're doing the same thing with the lines that you're doing in the improv. Open your eyes.
You know what's going on there, right? There have been people coming in and out. You've seen them. I mean, everyone has seen them. You've seen them, right? You know that he has people coming over at all hours. There's this weird smell coming from there too. I mean, beyond this being highly illegal, you're putting all of us at risk, everyone that lives in this building.
Scene.
In Italy, we have many, in Norway, we have many stories of creatures in the woods. But what should frighten you isn't out there.
Improv.
I just need to know if you know what's actually going on in there or not. Are you in on this? Do you have any clue? Are you just turning a blind eye to it? I mean, it's obvious what he's doing. Are you just playing dumb?
You're saying that the threat's internal from employees such as yourself?
You haven't been here for long, have you? Do you know what this plant does? What it's for?
Well, I don't concern myself with operational details. I need to know if there are more commandos out there.
You don't know, or you don't want to know? You don't want to know? I mean, are you just playing dumb, or are you pretending to not know what's going on here?
Well, I need to know if there are more commandos out there.
You don't know, or you don't want to know?
Well, I mean, please tell me what you can. Or look, they're going to send you to Germany where the questioning can be much, much more unpleasant.
There is something going on here. The water in this facility is more than vital to the war effort, Lieutenant. Your people are creating a monster of their own right here in this building.
Improv.
There is something happening in this building, and you're putting every single one of us at risk. Can't you see that?
Well, please tell me what you can, or they're going to send you back to Germany. That could be much more unpleasant.
The water in this facility is a lot more than vital to the war effort, Lieutenant. Your people are creating a monster in this building right here. Somebody has to stop them before it's too late.
Very, very nice. Very nice. Could you feel that?
Yeah, I felt a lot more of the intention and action to get the information and also get him to not turn a blind eye.
Right. Well, you were doing something to me, right? And just like we said with Ria, and especially when you first start doing this, it's really challenging, right? And you're almost watch yourself go oh, I'm doing something, but wait, how I know, but this is where I get this mood, or this is where I get, so we're really fighting against the will that wants to control the scene, right? And there were moments in there that were really, really active. And again, just like which usually happens when we start doing this, and that's part of the process, is beginning to discover, oh, I'm in line readings now, or this is fucking just happening right now, And there was one beautiful moment where you you don't know, right? Where I said, go to the improv, and you repeated the line again in the improv, but suddenly you were really saying, you don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It definitely felt in and out, but when I was sticking to my my action, it was there and it was clear.
Yeah. And we can see it watching it, right? If you guys were watching it, that moment I'm talking about where she was like, you don't know. And then I said improv, and she went, you don't know? And then she started just really doing it. And then I said back to the scene, and then it carried over for a while into that. And that's, I've been working this way for years, and it's the thrill of it, right? And it's so to watch it and to experience it as an actor, and it's humbling because you'll be doing the scene and you're like, oh, I think this is pretty active. And then I say improv, and it's like, what am I doing again? And you can almost watch the actor shake off the line readings and then get back to hey, come on. And that's what we're looking for this scene to be about, right? Because, and again, I know I didn't spend a lot of time here today talking about and I can answer some of these questions for you, when we go into the Q&A here, but things like, oh, where do I put my eye line, and how many props and all that stuff. Yeah, that stuff, there's some importance to that. But what we begin to experience is that's all secondary to having it be alive and real and spontaneous. Because then we suddenly don't care. we, the viewer, care about much less, right? Because if we see somebody really going after it, that's the thing that draws us in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ella. Michael, we can send her back to webinar world. So yeah, hopefully you guys got a real glimpse of some of what I'm talking about. And like I was saying to Ella there, and I mean also saying to you guys, in those moments when you can, and I think we could really see it in the performances we saw thus far, when we are active, when we are really going after it, it literally starts to jump off the screen. And so many things, both technically and performance-wise, that we think we need to get right, we don't, you know? I've got a friend of mine who is a TV star, and he's been on, you know, the series regular on a couple of hit shows. And when he does a self-tape, he purposely doesn't memorize it. He purposely makes the lighting look a little shitty. He just makes it really raw. Because I think there's this, I think he understands a lot of what we're talking about, obviously, from working. And I speculate that it's like he doesn't want to literally, for himself or for the viewer, make it seem like he's trying too hard. And they know he's a professional, and he just wants to focus on the acting. He just wants to focus on really doing something to someone, you know? So we want to let it rip. And before I take the Q&As from everybody, and again, I'll stay here for a while answering questions. But before I do that, I alluded to this earlier, but this way of working, to begin to approach the audition like an art, like a craft, like something like you begin to see with people I was working with today. To me, acting is much more like riding a bike or dance or surfing, these demonstrable skills, these things that can be hard to talk about, but we can begin to experience. If you begin to approach the audition like a craft, it's one of the reasons why I call my technique Power Audition Technique Honing, because we want to make it about honing the craft, not getting the job. And not only, if you quit trying to concern yourself so much with breaking in, but just with creating, things begin to happen. And not only things in your acting career, but a real guidance, a real path for you in your life begins to open up the more we are engaged with actual creativity, the more we are doing what is in our power. Which is why in life, when you really lose yourself in something, whether it's building a model airplane or being there for a loved one who needs you, anything that is really creative that we can lose ourselves in, we get real guidance from it. It's after those moments that we suddenly get the idea to call Uncle Jim about the job, that we suddenly get the intuition to write the short film, or at least write down the idea for it. So not only will making beginning, and it's an arduous but extremely rewarding process to begin to dedicate yourself to honing your craft, to making the audition into a craft, into a skill. But not only will it guide you in the art itself and in your acting career, but in more ways than you can imagine. It will take you to a place where a very real but non-ego-based path, a heart-based and intuitive path for your life really begins to open up more and more. That's what I believe acting and the art of auditioning can be.